superiorly. We're gonna learn English quick.
Hello everybody, today we are looking at the present. We are looking at why we use it, how we use it, when do we use it, all these kind of points, okay, and the little details of the present. So, hi, I'm Ben, just in case you haven't seen me before. This is the present simple, okay, so one of my students said to me, and I thought it was quite funny, Rocio from Argentina, she said the simple tense is simple. Well, it's not as simple as that, but I thought that was funny anyway. So let's have a look at a few examples, of when do we use this. So we've got a couple of guys here talking to each other. One says, "Good morning, I'm Ben." That's me, I'm Ben. "Nice to meet you." "Good morning, Ben. My name is Patrick. I'm glad to meet you." Okay. "So where are you from, Patrick?" "I'm from Ireland. And yourself?" I should be putting an Irish accent. And this guy's American. Ben's American. So I'm from the States, but now I'm living in Peru. Peru! Wow! I'm thinking about going one day. The Irish, they drop the th and they just say t. So they say tinking. I'm thinking about going one day. Here's another example. How often do you go shopping? I usually go every weekend, but my husband doesn't know that. Ooh, secrets. Spending hubby's money, eh? Okay, so this is also for frequency. So this question here of how often is really important. How often? It's the frequency. And she says every weekend and usually, but that's not always. So what is the past simple? So we have two main reasons for using the simple present. Sorry, not the past simple. The first one is general statement. So this line here of things that just stay true the whole time, they don't change. And this other one's habits and routines. So these things that happen on a daily basis quite regularly. Well, they might be not that regularly, but they do happen in a frequency. So maybe every weekend, or every week, or every Monday. Okay, it could be every day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So let's have a look here. So for facts or general statements, we use a simple present. So the world spins. You can imagine the world spins. It happens every day. It's not really a routine, or a habit. It's a general statement on life. Same thing with dogs bark. It's a fact. It's what they do. So that's why we use the simple present. Habits or routines. I go to the cinema every Tuesday because it's cheaper on Tuesdays. Or I often go to the gym on Saturdays because there's nobody at the gym on Saturdays, and I like that. So that's a habit or a routine now, and you've got that time. So the form is just subject plus the verb. The world is the subject, spins. That's the verb. Dogs bark. I go. I often go. Yeah, so let's have a look at some time phrases here. These are time phrases that go with the present simple. So you've got things like every day, every month, every year, every Monday, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or you can say once a day, or twice a day, or once a month, once a year, twice a year, etc. So that's frequency within the day. Or you can use at, on, and in. So at 7 p.m., so at for a time, on for a day, and in is for a month, or could be a year as well, in 1920 or something like that. So before we look at number 3, let's look at number 4 and 5. So for the negative, we put he doesn't like to travel too often. Or I don't like to travel too often. So this is the negative. We use that helping verb, which it does not really exist in the positive. So usually I like, and then it's I don't like. So we're just adding this new word, these two new words. You've got do and not, which become don't. In the question form, we also use the helping verb to create the sentence. So we switch it around with the subject. So does he train at the gym very often? So normally here we don't need the do. You could just say I really like chocolate. But if you want to emphasize it and you say I do really like chocolate. Maybe somebody says to you, you don't like chocolate. And you say to them, no, I do like chocolate. Or maybe you're talking about a friend. No, you don't like Max, do you? No, I do like him. I do like Max. This is all for emphasis. This is not necessary, but you're adding an extra word, so you're adding more importance. And you can notice the intonation goes up there. I kind of stress that do. I do really like you. So it's not always used, but you can use it just for reference. So the form in for negative or emphasis question is subject plus do plus or does plus a verb. Of course, if it's in the question, the do or does switches with the subject and switches around. Contractions. So for the positive, you've got I am, which become I'm. You are, you're, he is, he's, she is, she's, we are, we're, they are, they're. So this is mostly for spoken English. You may decide to write it in full for more formal texts when writing, but mostly for English, spoken English, we are contracting it. In the negative, for do, we contract do not becomes don't, does not becomes doesn't, and is not becomes isn't. Now, if really informal English would be ain't. It's a weird one. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but it does exist. So some people, you might hear in the movies, for example, someone say, I ain't from the USA. So that's to say I'm not from the USA, but they're using ain't. And it's actually really flexible because you can say, she ain't from the USA, we ain't from the USA. But it's really not very good English. It's spoken English, street English. It's quite informal English. So don't worry too much about ain't, but you might hear it, so it's good to know about it. So let's have a review here. So I go to school every day. Let's change to. So I want you to now pause the video, okay, and then you can write down next to you how you will change this sentence, I go to school every day, into, number one, a more emphatic sentence, so giving more emphasis, 2, into a negative sentence, and 3, into a question. So pause the video, write sentences out, and then you check your answer. Okay, so you've had enough time. Let's check the answers. So if you said, I do go to school every day, you are correct. If you said, I don't go to school every day, for the negative, then you are correct. And if you said, do you go to school every day, then you are also correct. So well done for doing that. Next, the present progressive. So here's a little quote from Buddha. Do not dwell on the past nor dream of the future. Instead, focus the mind on the present moment. So this is what the present progressive is all about, really. It's about things that are happening in the moment. Much less so than the present simple. The present simple is more about habits and facts. And this is now like, hey, what are you doing right now? So you are learning about English grammar, right? That's what you're doing right now. Let's have a look at some other examples. Well, first of all, let's have a look at the timeline. So here we see events that started in the past. It could have been recently in the past, like this course. You've just started this course, or it could be something that's been going on for a year or a few years now, but it's not going to happen forever. Now, we are not clear about how long. It doesn't tell us how long or when this event will finish. We just know that it's still happening in the present moment. So could stop straight away after the moment, or it could keep going. So usually this is temporary actions that are happening right now or around now. So let's have a look. So temporary actions in progress right now. So the teacher is talking to you right now. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay. In progress, but around now, I'm taking a course on English grammar. So it's not something that necessarily you're going to be doing right now, but around your daily schedule, or in this month, you will be progressively improving your English. It's temporary, so it's not going to happen forever. It's not like the routine of the present simple where I go to class from Monday to Friday every week for 5 years. You know, this is just for 1 month. It's not necessarily going to happen forever, and so that's why we use the present progressive. So the form of this is using the verb to be. So in the present, the verb to be is I am, you are, or he or she or it is. Okay, if it's we or they, we use we are. And it's in the verb with the ing form. Verb ing, which is the present participle. In the negative, you just simply add not in between the verb to be and the verb ing. So he's not talking on the phone. And in the question, we flip it. We flip the subject and the verb to be. So what are you doing? So I watch movies. No, right. you need to change this to, again, pause the video and with your notepad next to you, write down some sentences to practice. So I watch movies. That's the present simple, right? Something you do general. It's a general statement saying, hey, this is what I do. So right now, how would you change that to say, look, I'm not going to give it away for you. Also change it to negative and then in the question. So pause the video and we'll come back to you. Okay, you had enough time now to pause the video and write down your sentences. So if you wrote, I am watching a movie right now, then you are absolutely correct. If you wrote, I'm not watching a movie right now, then you are correct. And if you wrote, are you watching a movie right now, then you are indeed correct. If you're not, maybe you need to watch this video again, or the previous examples, check it again. Okay, if not, we can move on. So this is interesting. So you can sometimes use the present simple or the present continuous or present progressive. Sometimes I say present continuous, present progressive. Again, it's this mechanic. It's this idea of the mechanic doesn't need to really know. If you drive a car, you don't need to know all the parts in an engine like a mechanic does. I'm an English teacher. I know all the words for different words, all the jargon. You don't really need to know that. In order to use English, you don't need to know all these names for tenses. What you just need to know is when's the right time to use it. Why do we use it? So I live or I'm living, you could use it in these both cases. So I live in New York or I'm living in New York. Now I live has a subtle difference in meaning from I'm living, which suggests permanence. It means that I'm here forever. You know, this is where I live. I've got a house here, I have family here, this is where I live. Well, I'm living suggests that is more temporary. So I'm living in New York for 3 months. So it's not going to be forever. She dances is a general statement. You know, what does she do? What's her job? She dances. It's a general statement. But she is dancing. That's an action that's happening right now. Do you study is a simple present. So the simple present, you can recognize it using that with the helping verb do. And the present progressive or the present continuous, if you like, you recognize with the verb to be and that ing at the end of it. So, review. I always get to school on time despite the bad traffic. Now, is that a daily and usual habit or is that happening right now? If you said happening right now, no. It is a daily or usual habit, something that you always do, get to school on time. Hold on a moment. Someone is calling my phone. What is that, a daily or usual habit or is that happening right now? If you said happening right now, then you are correct. It is something, someone's calling you. You can imagine your phone, like, oh, somebody's calling me. Okay, cool. Right now. Review. She usually teaches on Mondays and Thursdays. Is that a daily or usual habit, or is that happening right now? If you said daily, usual habit, then you'll be correct. This is something that's a routine, Mondays and Thursdays. So, questions in the present. Is he playing basketball? Is that Michael Jordan, no? Do you like basketball? Let's have a look here. Does Jimmy live in Bolivia? Okay. So we got questions with do or does. Does Jimmy live in Bolivia? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Short answer. Or the long answer would be yes, he lives in Bolivia. Or no, he doesn't live there. The super short answer would just be yes or no. No, but for the sake of practice as well, it's good to see all of the examples. Questions with B. So, are the dog and cat friends? Short answer, yes they are. Short answer, no they're not. Or you can also change it to no they aren't. So depending on the contraction, you can have two options. No they're not or no they aren't. It means exactly the same. The long answer will be yes they are friends. No they are not such good friends. Or no they aren't such good friends. So this idea again of you've got two alternatives. They're not or they aren't. Frequency adverbs. MJ, Michael Jordan, almost always scores 30 points in a game. Or he doesn't play anymore, but when he did. So, frequency adverbs. These are the frequency. Like, how often is this happening? That's the key question word. How often? So, 100%. always. 95% almost always. 90% or usually. 85% maybe. 80% often. 60% frequently, generally, sometimes, occasionally. 50%. Okay, seldom, yeah, not often, right? It's 25%. Hardly ever, 20%. 15% rarely. 5% almost never, and 0% never. So there's something that just never happens. Always will be 100%, never will be 0. It just doesn't happen. So, Peter often eats jam on toast for breakfast. This is the subject, Peter, and we put the frequency adverb before the verb, which is in the simple present. We still have to conjugate it, Peter eats, but we're including the frequency adverb here on toast for breakfast. So, Peter is always hungry for jam sandwiches. This is now slightly different. When we're using the verb to be, the frequency adverb goes after the verb, not before, not like with most verbs. Most verbs, it will go before, but with the verb to be, it goes afterwards. So Peter is always hungry for jam sandwiches. If we look at the negative, Peter doesn't often eat jam on toast for breakfast. Doesn't often plus the verb, because you just add the auxiliary, the helping doesn't. If it's negative, it does change slightly. Peter, you can't put a double negative here. You can't put Peter doesn't never eat jam. It just doesn't. Two negatives make a positive, so it would be Peter never eats jam, and that's it. That's enough to make it negative. You don't want to put a double negative. So Peter is never hungry for jam sandwiches. Subject plus be plus negative frequency adverb. Peter is never. So the negative frequency adverb goes after the verb to be. Ever. Do you ever go swimming? No, not really. Maybe once a year. So ever, what does ever mean? Ever means at any time. Like, have you ever done this? It's the opposite of never, really, because never is never, like 0, and ever is once, but we don't know. So, do you ever go cycling? Do you ever play football? I'm asking, does this ever occur at least once? If it occurs once, then you can say yes. If not, it's never. So let's have a little review here of often. So which one would go in this sentence? Thomas sells lots of tickets. And in the second one, the people are quite peaceful. Usually are or are usually? Let's have a look. I'll give you time to pause the video. Okay, so if you said Thomas often sells lots of tickets, then you are right. If you wrote the people are usually quite peaceful, then you would be right. Third person singular. So, cats drink milk. This is a plural noun that ends in S. So this is not one cat, but multiple cats. So plural. Plural means 2, 3, 4, 5, plus, whatever. A cat drinks milk. So a singular verb also ends in S. So when this verb here is in the third person, talking about a cat, then we add an S. Okay? So you've got to be careful not to confuse plural nouns and third person singular verbs. Look similar, but we add S. So here we have it eats with friends. I suppose the cat eats its food with other cats. The cat eats fish. Jim eats vegetarian food. She eats alone at lunch. So these are all third person singulars, and this is why we add S to the verb. Again, it's different from this plural noun of dogs eat bones. Plural noun. So there are some spelling rules. We're not going to do all of them, but we'll just have a look at some of them. If you want more spelling rules, I mean, you can look it up anyway, but I don't want to go too much into all of them because there are a lot of rules. Just show you some of them so you know that it does vary. So most verbs you just add the S, so that's nice and easy. Talk becomes talks, ride becomes rides. You've also got irregular. So irregular ones go from go to goes with the ES. Do, does, have, has. State verbs. So in the present simple, we've got two types of verbs. We've got actions like play, do, make, and then we've got state verbs. So things like here we have some common stated verbs. So things like cost, feel, have, hear, know, like, need, want, or understand. So these are not actions but states about how I'm feeling. So in this case, you can't change it to the present progressive. It can only be in the present simple. So see this guy here. She's looking at him and she's saying, now I believe in Jesus, because he does look a little bit like Jesus, doesn't he? Not I'm believing in Jesus. This would be wrong. I'm believing in Jesus is not correct. So here are some more examples. We've got states or existing situations. I remember your sister. It can't be I'm remembering your sister. It just doesn't work. It's a state. It's not an action. I want to eat fast food. The idea of wanting is not. It's a desire. It's not something that is not an action. I prefer curry. Yeah, that's a choice between two things. And I know her. So all of these states cannot be in the progressive. There are some interesting comparisons there, right? So you've got I think Jesus was real. That means that's a belief. That's I believe that. But you can also have I'm thinking right now. That's different. That's I'm thinking of something in this moment. I have a car, which is a possession, whereas I'm having an operation is an action. So you can use it, some of them in both forms, but they do mean different things, and you've got to be wary of that. Okay, well done. That was it. The present. That's a kind of an outline on the most important aspects of talking about the present. I would love you to leave any comments that you have in the comments below. If you have any other questions as well, then I'll be really happy to answer them for you. And that's about it. So, see you in the next one.
Learning English superiorly. We're gonna learn English quick.